Good afternoon, and thank you for choosing Across the Fence. I'm Will Michael. We're going to begin today's program with a snapshot of our friends and neighbors who serve in the National Guard. We're talking about the men and women who are dedicated to serving our country, who will leave behind their loved ones when they're called to training or to active duty. According to the Department of Defense, Vermont has 3,160 National Guard and Reserve members. We have 1,553 National Guard Reserve spouses, and there are more than 2,200 National Guard and Reserve children in Vermont. It's clear that when moms and dads serve in the military, so too do their families. Families like the Arcovitch family of Essex Junction, who spoke with Across the Fence's Keith Silva.
When a soldier leaves on deployment, their family serves too.
Leaving really hard and coming back, it was like just two extremes of emotions. My name is Mike Arkovitch. I'm in the Vermont National Guard, Vermont Army National Guard. I've been in for 12 years, and in 2021, I was deployed to Kosovo.
I'm Ashley Arcovitch. I am a military spouse and a stay-at-home mom.
Yeah. Really? There you go.
The Arkovitches have 3 boys, Mason, Walker, and Brooks. The family knew the day and duration of Captain Arkovitch's deployment and prepared as best they could.
It was not a dangerous deployment for me. And to that point, it was still really challenging emotionally. You know, I would call every day that I could, and our kids were young enough. They're not, necessarily conversationalists when they're that young. So, they'd say hi and they'd see me and they'd, go on with their day, which I think was really a lot of what they needed anyway, was just to see me and to know that things were okay and that Dad was okay.
It definitely brought a lot of my best qualities out and some of my worst qualities. I definitely mentally prepared. He does trainings out of state, so I've had to deal with chunks of time alone with the kids before. It's the nitty-gritty stuff that's really difficult. The every day I have to always be the one to get them up and ready to go to school, the after school, the bedtime routine, those sort of things. You prepare as best you can, but things come up and it's challenging.
Like many kids, the Arkovitch brothers like playing video games. And if a pillow fight breaks out, all the better.
He really likes hot sauce.
I really like Frank's Red Hot.
Yeah, I think everyone knows him for that.
Walker was 4 years old when his dad was deployed to Kosovo. He doesn't recall all the events, but he remembers how he felt.
So my feelings was scared, sad, and that's all.
Those aren't great feelings.
No.
In his father's absence, Brooks, the middle son, had to take on extra responsibilities when it came to getting ready for hockey.
It was tough because mom was there to put my gear on, and she did not know how to put my gear on. So now I know how to put my gear on, other than the skates.
As the oldest, Mason supported his younger brothers in the best ways he knew how.
I let him sleep in my room sometimes. So, and I have this candy stash, so I give him some candy.
For military kids like the Arkovitches and the other 2,800 military dependents in Vermont, it can be challenging talking to friends whose parents aren't in the military about how it feels when their mom or dad is deployed.
I'm gonna be completely honest with you, don't really respond. Just like, oh, well, your dad goes to the military, okay.
What's it like when somebody finds out your dad is deployed?
I don't mind them asking. It's kind of like a feeling that, it's good for people to know and, experience what I have to go through with.
Mason and Brooks also have advice for their peers whose parents may be deployed in the future.
It's okay if you feel bad about, your parent or guardian is gone, it's always going to turn out okay and you'll get them back. Yeah, it happens, and it's sad for them to leave, but they come back.
It's easy to see where the Arkovitch children get their sense of duty to their family and their community.
Anything that the Vermont Guard, soldiers and airmen, can get involved and be in the community helps overall for deployments and for the community's support of service members. Because I mean, there's like no measurement for that, for how important that is for families and for everybody else.
The Vermont National Guard, soldiers and airmen, they are a part of our community, and during a deployment, don't be afraid to reach out. Don't feel awkward about it. We're just like you. We're a part of your community. It's the little gestures. Just make that connection. We're all, military or not, we're all Vermonters. Let's reach out and, do this together.
Safe, brother.
When a soldier is deployed, the family serves too. And perhaps, to go one step further, military and non-military alike have a role to play in support of soldiers and their families. In Essex Junction, I'm Keith Silva with Across the Fence.
Our thanks to the Arcovitch families for spending time with us and sharing their stories. We thank them and all the men and women and their children who serve in the Guard. To help provide positive opportunities for military youth in Vermont, the Guard partners with a number of organizations for the Military Kids Vermont program. The program offers workshops, leadership and day camps, along with other activities. Military Kids Vermont teaches resiliency and coping skills. And one of the partners in the program is UVM Extension 4-H. Allison Smith is the Assistant Director of the statewide 4-H program. She's been involved in Military Kids Vermont for several years. Allison, thank you very much for coming in.
It's my pleasure.
So tell us a little bit about the history of Military Kids Vermont. What is it?
Sure. Well, Military Kids Vermont started originally as Operation Military Kids, which was a partnership between the U.S. military and the 4-H program. And since that time, as the funding has changed, Military Kids Vermont has remained as a group of individuals from the community in Vermont, as well as partner programs who are dedicated to providing programming specifically for military families. We provide different events, things like military ice skating nights. We've had apple picking, blueberry outings, and we also provide a camp during April break called Partner Camp, where we provide different activities for the kids and a chance for them to get to know one another.
I saw some of these activities online. What a great way to bring community together, a wonderful piece. Are there specific skills or areas of focus that 4-H wants to help support military kids?
Yes, definitely. Well, you mentioned that community piece, and in Vermont, all of our military families are what we call geographically dispersed. So oftentimes a youth might be the only person in their community. We saw this with the Arcovitch family and the children expressing that their friends might not be able to relate to having a parent who might get deployed. So
and you're pointing out we don't have a military base, and so that's what
correct.
You mean by this dispersed
yes.
people. Yes. Yep.
And so building in that sense of belonging to any of our activities or our programs is really important. Just a chance to connect families with one another. But we also, through activities and programs, really try to instill team building, leadership skills, self-expression, being able to communicate, and definitely a piece of resilience and grit among youth.
And I see this year after year.
Mm-hmm.
I get emotional about it. We just saw the Arcovitch family. Keith and others, we've covered various families. I've continued to be impressed by young people in the military and the 4-H, their ability to express themselves. Some of the things those young men just said, that's not easy to do.
Certainly.
Yeah. Now, this summer, we've talked about some of the activities and events. There was a very specific 2-session Northeast Kingdom Military Teen Adventure Camp. And while it wasn't necessarily under your direction, it was in 4-H. What can you tell us about that? How did the sessions of camp go?
Yes, that was an exciting opportunity run by Anthony Skurza, my colleague at UVM Extension. He ran that camp in close collaboration with Vermont State University. they had kids from both Vermont and across the country, military youth, engaging in all sorts of outdoor recreation, so mountain biking, high ropes courses, kayaking, hiking, really getting out there and using nature and outdoor recreation to explore themselves and the world around them.
And the strength of the program, let me just point out that you have partners who help make that a free 2 summer sessions, all free at Vermont State University.
It's an incredible opportunity.
How do you gauge if one of the goals, and I know it is, resiliency, how do you gauge how the kids have absorbed that by participating in programs?
Yes, so there are definitely elements that are built into that program. One of the pieces, it's called the Rugged Resilience Measure, and the evaluation for the camp runs through Purdue University as part of this national partnership, but incorporating statements like, I believe in myself, I can overcome challenging circumstances, and really helping to guide youth through activities like mountain biking, where you might be trying something for the first time and you fall off, and being able to take safe, positive risks and help youth get back on that bicycle or try the climbing wall again, and letting them fail but picking them back up as well.
So maybe that dovetails into my final question, which is how can we as a community, whether we're neighbors of the Arkovitches or some other family, how can we support military kids and military families on our own?
4-H and both Military Kids Vermont, we very much run on volunteers and the support from the community. So for us, anytime that we're having a program or an event, if you have some time to give or maybe a skill or passion that you want to share with youth, reach out to us. We would love to have helping hands greeting families, getting on the ice skating, helping to pick blueberries, or running a camp. If you have a passion or talent and some time, we will definitely be able to utilize.
Well, let's provide some contact information so people know where they can look on the web or call for volunteer information. Information about any 4-H program statewide, contact the State Extension Office. We put the toll-free number on the screen, or check the website uvm.edu/extension and click on youth. Allison, thank you very much. Very impressive work as always. Really appreciate you coming in.
Well, thank you so much.
That is our program for today. We know you have choices, so thanks for choosing us. I'm Will Michael, inviting you to join us back here each weekday afternoon for another visit across the fence.